Good evening, Twitch.tv. I am Cat09 Streams, also known as TCCat09, and welcome back to more Shiny Hunting Giratina. And I just noticed how dark my camera is. Let me fix that real quick. Exposure needs to be, there we go. That's better. And yes, welcome back to what's going to be the last stream of 2022 for Shiny Hunting, Shiny Giratina, and Dynamax Adventures, because Friday we're going to be doing Cinderace raids and Violet. But yeah, it's almost the end of the year, Giratina. Would you kindly shine? Anyway, I did connect to the internet. Yes, I'm connected to the internet. Anyway, we're back to business. For those of you who missed the Christmas stream, I did get a shiny on Christmas Day. It's the Lopunny that you see. And that means I no longer have my path that I had to set for Giratina. So, yeah, we are going to go ahead and get started with this. Real quick from folks in the chat. Dark Lucario giving us some shiny Dancing Bell Awesomes. And there's Millennium. Kindly shine, she says. And RNG just says no. Basically. Anyway, real quick. We're going to have folks, no VC. Oh. I was waiting to see if people were going to pop in to the VC, but I'll go ahead and get my headphones in so that way I can listen. There we go. Alright, so I'm in the VC. There we go. And I see Frost.
Yay, hello.
Alright, you're going to be joining on with this one, Frost, since you got busy with the Solars thing? Yeah. Alright, I'll go hang out a lobby setup.
Yeah. Yeah, we were doing some Terra Raid battles and trying to find Urban Mystica. We managed to find two Urban Mystica in total out of maybe the 10-ish raids we did.
Wow, okay. Yeah. Hopefully with Cinderace, maybe they could increase the drop for that. Millennium said they are loading into the game, so one sec.
Okay.
But yeah. I would have popped in, but I was at work, so.
Yeah, we figured it's okay. Kishwa Jones, because he didn't want to, he was listening to us in the VC, but not communicating with us vocally, like audio with his voice and everything. So he was typing but his thoughts through text. So it does, out of context, it does really sound weird. It's sort of like me sometimes when I'm just listening in but not really talking.
Right. Millennium says, can't wait to be here to Beast Ball Cinderace. I have been trying to figure out what special ball I should catch Cinderace in. Because I got Charizard in a fastball because I thought it worked well with the coloration. Now with Cinderace, I'm not so certain.
Okay. I'm gonna mute because my cat is meowing.
Okay. Lucario says, I'm gonna get mine in a level ball. Ooh, that's a good idea. I was actually thinking of a level ball for mine. Alright. And lobby is live since Millennium is saying they're ready to go. But yeah, I've been trying to figure out, would a level ball work well? Because that's really good coloration, too, with it. Or do like Millennium's going to do and Beast Ball it. But then there goes my one sold Beast Ball, so...
Yeah, I wonder. It's gonna catch it with a Pokeball like I always do. Also, if you hear occasional meowing, that'll be my cat. He's sitting in my lap right now.
Well, I would say something, except there's times where you'll actually see my cats jump on the cat trees behind me, so...
Yeah.
Like I said,
you can see cats.
You can definitely see my cats. You can also hear me talk to them when they're going crazy. Why can't it be like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and let us buy Beast Balls by the dozens? Yeah, it's a good question. A better question is why lock those behind the auction place?
We have Pokemon Home Access. You can just give a Pokemon the Beast Ball, and when you move it, you can just take the item and from it.
I thought held items weren't allowed in Pokemon Home.
Oh right, maybe yeah, that's true. Never mind. Because I remember I used to do that when I used to move my Pokemon from Ruby version to Pro version. I remember giving Pokemon several items. Like I gave the Master Ball to one of the Pokemon, so I can sort of have a spare Master Ball.
Right. Oh, it's worse. You're gonna get more Beast Ball by a random prize at the Ace. Oh wow. Wow. Oh. Yeah. See, I literally thought that was just going to be a one and done thing. I didn't realize that's where you can get more Beast Balls from. Or have a chance to get more Beast Balls. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and start. Oh, we have something that is immune to its ghost type moves. I will take that.
To switch, but just for the meme for now.
Eh. Millennium's won over $5 million from the Ace tournament and has won 0 Beast Balls so far. Oh my goodness.
Damn.
Wow. Alright, what do we have here? Okay.
I was half tempted to do that scene from Spider-Man when Jonah Jameson was like, crap about the pictures.
Right.
Because that's literally our options.
Basically, then I saw Obama Snow and I was like, that's probably the best option we have. On the plus side, I've bought 900 of each vitamin for EV training.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I just did the whole thing of I bought the power items and then I just give them to the Pokemon I'm EV training and just go up against something that gives 2 EVs of that type. One of the few times going up against a herd of Paldean Tauros is actually worth it.
I need to EV train my Pokemon. In a couple of raids, I used my Toxapex, and I was using Poison Jab, and obviously if it was EV trained, it would have done a little more damage than whatever it did. But because I only leveled up to level 100, just for the sake of having basically a type advantage over some of the types we go up against, I didn't really train it properly. So it's lacking in a lot of the EVs that could have gone if let's say I trained it, if it was part of my main team or something.
Right. I need EV train Pelipper for Cinderace because I saw an interesting strategy in one of the comments of Austin John's video talking about it. Somebody brought up Pelipper with Drizzle and using Hurricane, and I went, "Oh, that's an idea." Of course, I'm also trying to get as much flying Terra Shards so I can get the Terra type to flying instead of water. So I think I need 13 more of those.
Stick to Sylveon. I think I'm gonna still stick with Sylveon. It doesn't. Wait. It's not gonna have a poison type, is it? Right?
We're still speculating at this point. We probably won't know until it drops Thursday night. For us.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Even if it does, I'll still maybe give it a shot and see how it goes. And maybe depending on team formation itself, maybe we'll see how
Right. Though, interestingly enough, from that same video he had, I did found out, with it being terrestrialized, if it has Liberio, its type will not change from fighting. Because he tried it with Meowscarada terrestrialized, and its ability never activated. So that, to me, is like, letting it have Liberio is going to be more of a detriment than an advantage to it. Whereas with Charizard having solar power than having Sunny Day, made sense. I'm not taking Gastrodon.
I'm gonna switch. Yeah, I'm gonna switch because I'd rather be safe than sorry. And at least Gastrodon has a bug type move.
Bug type's not that very effective against Ghost. Unless you were considering like, oh wow, we have to go up against Berserker in order to get to Abomasnow. I just noticed all three of our characters have the same backpack. I'm guessing either Ceruledge or Fluttermane can handle Cinderace. Fluttermane has to keep an eye out for Gunk Shot if it's running that, as well as Iron Head. But I've definitely seen some people recommend Ceruledge. Flash Fire along with immunity to fighting type moves? Yep. What I was originally going to do, I was actually originally going to run my Azumarill because my Azumarill has an interesting set where it can double as support as well as offense. And if Cinderace is running Iron Head, that's neutral damage to my Azumarill. The issue is going to be if it's running Gunk Shot. So, yeah. Of course, now since they're announced Cinderace is going to be is in this, I wonder what the next starter is going to be.
Yeah, I hope it's not another fire type. I understand using Cinderace because of Year of the Rabbit.
Right.
I hope it's like a grass type. I hope water type, whatever. And I hope actually we also get to see the starters from all the previous generations, not just goes, hey, Generation 1, Generation 2, no, and you know, like sort of like every other generation, starters were brought back to Sword and Shields, but then some were left out.
Millennium brings up a good point. It could be Hisuian and Typhlosion.
Yeah. Another fire type.
I was thinking more along the lines, since obviously we're going to have Hisuian Pokemon available in this. I was thinking closer to along the lines of like maybe one of the maybe they do Samurott or Decidueye before they do Typhlosion.
Yeah. I'd rather one of them over Typhlosion, only so that doesn't become a sort of like a meme where it's fire type always.
Right.
Or like for the third time in the row, I should say.
But at the same token, they may also reserve those for when Pokemon Home compatibility is finally released for Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
That reminds me, at some point in time, I still need to get those shiny Hisuian starters. Because something tells me we are not going to be able to evolve them into their Hisuian forms. It's going to be a case of, if you need it, it has to come from Pokemon Home. Unless they allow those to become Paradox Pokemon.
It's funny how, like, I got a shiny Prinplup and a shiny Grotle through mass outbreaks in Pokemon Legends. Like, I just need a shiny Monferno, and then I just kind of complete the secondary stage of evolution for the start of Pokemon, the Sinnoh Pokemon.
I think I'm actually missing shiny Monferno for the Charmander line. Chimchar line, not Charmander line.
I have full Piplup line, because I have 2 shiny Piplup and then the Prinplup. So I just need to evolve one of them, the Prinplup into Empoleon, and the other Piplup into Prinplup.
I'm going to take it
I
to
don't
Shark and
take
Dark.
it.
We're going to. I'm going to take it to Shark and Dark and say we're just going to let the AI take it. Alright. I also found out the water type is Crawdon, so I kind of figured you were going to say Abomasnow.
Yeah, because I remember hearing we're leaning towards Abomasnow, and then now as I selected, you mentioned Crawdon. I'm like,
Wow, there's also items behind Crawdon.
like
Oh well.
Crawdon would have been, yeah, Crawdon would have been a better option because it would resist the psychic type.
There's also the fact Crawdon can set up one one sword stance, and then lash out. And we've seen how powerful that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, don't mind me. Just going to breathe fire on this.
I'm gonna Rock Tomb it because of its ice type. And this way I don't have to waste my Skitter Smack.
Ooh, paralyzed. Oh, okay. That's. I'm not certain if I want to read that out loud, but that is kind of funny. I just hope the kid's not in the pouch when she does it. But now, some other people have also been considering, like, bringing in the Charizards with the Mightiest Mark, too. Since that's already a 6 IV perfect Pokemon. In hindsight, maybe I should rescind that statement. Oh my goodness, AI. You have literally have attributed nothing to this battle. Yeah, it's at some point in time. At some point in time, I think what they're going to do with the Mightiest Mark, they're probably going to do it for like the starters that are able to be hit that were coded into Sora, to Scarlet and Violet. Ever get the feeling your fingers or mouth move faster than your brain? I have the inverse. My brain moves faster than both of them. So I ended up with tied up fingers and unable to talk. AI, no. No. You have Lash Out. Did you misclick there, Frost?
Take it. Because I have Skitter Smack, so it would have been enough for me. Oh well.
I thought Ghost Resist Bug.
Oh, I forgot. You know what? In my head, I thought we were going up to Latios because that's what we were doing. I forgot Giratina. Yeah, I forgot we were up against Giratina.
Okay, I'm just going to be sneaky and see if I can get a Calm Mind up before I start using Shadow Ball.
Lady forgot we were going up Giratina. I confused the raids.
Well, it doesn't help the fact that they're both dragons, so... Yes, make the slowest mon on the field slower.
Bravo.
Excuse me.
Oh, I dropped the speed.
Time to start using Shadow Ball. Oh yeah, now you can use Outrage and not worry about getting confused after a while. Let's see how much this does. That did a lot less than I thought it was going to, but I got the Spadef drop. That did about as much. Why do I have a strong hunch we're going against a bulky Giratina?
I think we are. Wow.
Okay. I lived with 25 hit points. We could use
Giratina is definitely bulky.
We could use those Terra Cheers now. Yes, we could. We most definitely could.
Hey, AI, maybe you could use, I don't know, an ice type move?
They opened up with Avalanche, but I haven't seen them use another one yet.
Yeah, I saw them use something. I can't remember what move exactly they used, but they definitely did not use. Excuse me.
Rock Tomb. There we go.
Oh, finally. Well, didn't do too much, but still.
True. Honestly, it's better than nothing.
Okay, that Shadow Ball did better.
Well,
I guess it helped with all the Spadef.
yeah, the
the speed
Spadef drop,
drops.
yeah. Already missing the Scarlet Violet AI. I mean, to be honest, they're a lot more helpful than the Sword and Shield AI, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I was about to say the same thing.
Wait, did it just use Shadow Claw on,
At least-
on Genghis Khan?
At least we don't have Martin and his soul rock
True.
using rock polish.
Or Cosmic Power. There it goes. I knew I was going to remember at some point in time.
Yeah. Me too. I was gonna say Max Starfall and like, wait a minute, not Max
No.
Starfall. It was something similar with stars. Twinkle twinkle little star.
Yes, boss used the ghost move on the normal type. Uh-oh. Wait, you quad resist that.
Classic AI using moves that are ineffective.
And then it turned around and used Shadow Claw on me. Joke's on you, Giratina. I'm part normal type. That did squat. And you're dead.
We made it somehow.
Alright. That is 45 successful runs. Or successes against Giratina. One of the things I definitely should have invested in was a skip button. So I started up my Scarlet file. I know I told Solar this, but I started up my Scarlet file now. I've noticed something that's a big difference between Scarlet and Violet in case of, like with our riding mons. Koraidon
Yeah.
shows so much more emotion than Miraidon does.
I feel like it makes sense because Miraidon kind of looks more mechanical almost. Like it's still organic. Like it eats and sleeps and all that stuff, but I guess it's sort of like this sort of more futuristic aspect about it. Kind of erases the kind of, what's the word? The expressiveness of the the emotions and stuff like that on the face and whatnot.
Right,
No
cause
shiny, by the way.
yeah, no shiny for me either. But like with like in the scene when you're in the cave and the Houndour pack is coming after you, in Violet, I remember seeing Miraidon glancing back, and to me it had the face of, you have got to be kidding me. Whereas with Koraidon, it hesitated. I could see the hesitation in its face of, do I really want to battle, that it charges right on in. So, yeah.
Have different. I love they have different personalities, so it's not like one for one reaction or
Right.
reaction basically.
But that's also why it was so weird when I got to the end game portion and I saw Miraidon cowering, and I'm like, that's not. The body language is definitely there showing it's cowering, but its expression really isn't cowering. Lobby is live, by the way. Whereas I have a feeling with Koraidon, that's exactly what I'm going to get. I'm going to see it actually, expression and all. It's going to be like, I don't want to do this, I'm actually scared. And Miraidon is liked more as a futuristic bike. I've noticed. And I also found out another thing too. It took me a while for me to realize this. But Koraidon's back wheel in its riding form, that's its tail curled up. That's not an actual wheel. That is its actual tail curled up.
Yeah.
Whereas with Miraidon being futuristic and also kind of being a cyborg or robot, whatever it is, and it having the wheels still being a part of it, that makes sense for that design. And then when I realized what Koraidon's was, I went, you know what? Yeah, now that makes sense. That's why it's still running around on its arms, because what we think are actual wheels are not wheels on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think the Dex entry also says something about that. Like people, or not, maybe not Dex entry. Maybe I heard it in the video.
I'm going for Jolteon. And Millennium Hat is an ad. I was thinking Fractured, but then I went Dragon Claw.
It's the sandcastle.
Yep. But like, it's really weird because in terms of character, in terms of actual character between the two riding Pokemon, even though I'm not that far in Scarlet, I'm liking Koraidon more as a character than Miraidon. Oh. Game. I see Minccino.
I'm gonna go to the left.
Yeah. Let's bury this ghost. But no, like, in terms of the characterization, I do feel like that Koraidon is far more expressive than Miraidon is.
Probably what are they gonna do with the professor characters in the new Pokemon series?
That is a good question.
Because the series is usually more child friendly, so I know I am expecting some kind of change gonna be made. Unless maybe because of the shift, like we're not seeing Ash and Pikachu anymore. I don't know if they're gonna take a chance with making it a little bit darker. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm still curious about how they will work the professors in, because a Millennium finally got through Area 0.
Yeah, because canonically, I can see both existing together, because like I like in the games they're separate. They're you play it. You have either or, but in the series I could see them both being present.
Right.
But who's supposed to be sort of?
Who's supposed to be the AI, and who's going to be the one
played?
who's still alive?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying not to really spoil it because I don't know if somebody who's watching where they are exactly in the game, you know, especially that now that was Christmas and they probably got the game now, so they're
Right.
probably still playing through it. So I'm still kind of on the no spoiler yet. So
Gotcha. I do have to admit that I think that, especially with like, I think I read it in what Kishwa Jones's one-sided text was in Solar's Discord was. They really should have put like a jingle or some sort of notification of Shiny appeared, because the way that the lighting is and the shading is in the game,
yeah,
one, I actually do like it because it does make the world more believable. Very hard to see some of the shinies.
yeah, yeah, and that's not mentioning some people with color actually who have colorblind, which if I'm right, it's Kishwood Jones who has one, yeah, who's colorblind. It's really hard to see.
Did you just say colorblind
Like
witch?
imagine us who
I could have sworn I
I don't
heard you
know what
just
I
say
just said, but
colorblind witch.
I think I think I was trying to say something which, but not like which, like WITCH which. I think I meant the WHICH
Right.
version of the word. I think I was gonna say something and then I just changed my mind. Yeah, I think Kishore Jones, I think, is colorblind if I remember correctly. So it's hard on him to see the difference. And I know that
Millennium's
Austin John did do
Millennium's
like a
also
big,
visually impaired. So like they have a hard time. It's one of the reasons why they were taking so
yeah.
long to get through Area Zeros, because the minimap wasn't working. For what doesn't work down there, so I'm just going to Swift. And Millennium also brought up a good point. They kind of skipped past the trauma of the Paldea professor having been killed. Yeah, I have to admit that was kind of a bit of a nut. That was a bit of a bomb, to be honest. I was like,
Yeah, yeah. I do wish when that it's not just this Pokemon with these games. It's also just I've noticed that in a few other things I've seen, like shows or whatever. It's like they tend to kind of jump from like the trauma that a character should experience because of something and allow them to process and heal from it in a correct manner of time. But then it's like, oh, we're just gonna kind of skip over all of that and jump into other things, or just, you know, it just doesn't really allow the character to kind of just
adjust or grieve.
Yeah, I think one of the few things I remember seeing that allowed the character who experienced trauma to just kind of sort of have a bit of a brief time to just kind of process what happened was Kenny Joji from Digimon Adventure 02, because especially when he's defeated as the Digimon Emperor, obviously like he had reminisced like his when the death of Wormmon reminded him of the death of his brother. So like he had this whole episode dedicated to him, and you kind of see him kind of processing a lot of what happened to him from childhood to that point. So it was just kind of a nice way, and even gradually throughout the series, even as he kind of started joining with the rest of the chosen children, you could see where like he's still kind of affected by the past mistakes and still some of the trauma, and he still really blames himself for a lot of what he did as the emperor. And then even like in that sort of the end, he has that dream kind of from I forgot his name, but I know it's Myotismon, but like a different form of him. I'm pretty sure and I didn't catch Marshtomp somehow. Although I did press A on it. But yeah, there was this sort of illusion that he put them under, and Ken dreamt of him being really punished for his actions, and basically kind of ended himself, or basically it resulted in his life being ended. And it was just, it's so tragic how somewhere rooted deep down he still blames himself and punches himself for that, and he's at a point where nobody really blames him for those deeds anymore. They've seen him how drastically he's changed, and for the good, since the defeat up until that point. But it's just sort of like, it's so like it allowed the character to just process and grieve and go through range of emotions sort of naturally in a sense, and it didn't shy away from that. And this is supposed to be like a preteen character also, like, mind you.
All right, who wants a helping hand?
I'll take it, since my moves are super effective against the angry dinosaur.
And it took Millennium Ages to realize they just had to go down to find the research stations or even figure out which way down was. But they made it. Then, Digimon Adventures 2 was a mixed bag for them. Fun, but not the same. I was actually about to say, you also want to consider something else?
Yeah.
Digimon Tamers also dealt with some very dark stuff.
Oh yeah, especially with Jerry.
Yes, that's what I was like. Yeah, that they tried to tame that for the U.S. release, but a lot of us were like, no, that is dark. That is dark.
It is dark. No, I mean, Digimon overall can be pretty dark. Sometimes a little too much, but even in Adventure, in the original series, it was dark. It got dark. Like Biotismon having a killing attack aimed at Gatomon and Kari, and then for Wizardmon to just jump in and take the hit and to die in the process, and it's just like the whole scene is of like them crying, and then you get Angelomon, and she just takes in like all that everybody's attacks, and just like she returns in a very like, it was such an epic moment. But like, just generally speaking, Digimon, it comes off lighthearted at first, but gradually it gets dark. It kind of, you get the brief glimpses of some sort of sets backstories a little bit, but the moment what's the name? Woke up Angemon, I keep forgetting his name.
Oh, I'm definitely not taking this.
Yeah, now I remember this time to catch. Devimon. That's when Devimon killed, or like when Angemon sacrificed himself to kill Devimon. That's when he knew that Digimon was not going to be a lighthearted anime. He knew that at least some of the kind of the brief sort of sad moments was just, it was not just going to be sad moments. It was going to be doing a lot of death, and then as you get through the series, you see so many of that.
Right. And like I said, for the US version, they did try to like mellow it out some, but it's like, nah, there's some of those you can't.
Yeah, like I grew up on the US version, like on the English dub, but then like I watched the sub version, like especially I watched Adventure and Adventure 02 in subbed, and my god, it's way different.
I need to find Tamers and Frontier,
like,
so those are the ones I watched.
Yeah, I watched those in dub too. I watched those in English dub, but I didn't watch it in sub. I actually was gonna start watching Tamers. I've watched like maybe the first episode and a bit of the second episode, and then I don't know. I got busy and I just didn't go back. or like I didn't continue on with it. I think I'm trying to catch up on some of the ongoing anime that now are either coming. They're ending now as the new season anime are coming out.
Millennium says it was sad, but they loved watching the Wizardmon scene in Japanese, especially when Angel Woman digivolved.
Yeah, I've seen it. It you know what helps it or like what boosts a lot of the scenes in the original version is the soundtrack also. Because really it just like you kind of get weird English dub music and it's just sometimes not always fitting or just like because it's trying to mellow out the intensity of the scene, so it just takes away the seriousness of the moments sometimes, and that's not mentioning the stupid jokes that's cracked.
Oh, don't even get me started on the crack. Don't even get me started on those. That's one of the reasons why I got to where I stopped watching the dubs. I was like, I'm getting really tired of you taking my cracking jokes about this one serious scene. Can it?
Yeah, can you just let a serious scene play out as intended instead of cracking a stupid joke and adding dialogue where dialogue shouldn't have been in the first place?
It's also one of the reasons why, even though I watch it for nostalgia, I get really annoyed watching the 4Kids dub of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, guys, this is a serious scene. Calm it with the background music.
Yeah, they're either make the music fit the scene. Okay, there's ways to do that, or just don't play music because sometimes music has more of an effect than music would.
Right.
But it's like, oh, like when you watch sub, like specifically like Digimon, this is definitely more where I recognized it a little more so. But even with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like, oh, it's danger looming or danger coming and stuff like that. You got like this really like tense type music.
Right.
And it's like you could feel the sort of whatever emotion is trying to invoke, it's there. You can feel it. But with dub, no, it does not exist.
Oh, speaking
I
of
think that's one of
that cover artist that I sent you, the metal version of Passionate Duelist. He made a metal version of the God's Anger. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah, I saw that. I went, I'm just gonna drop this here. Wait.
I saw Millennium's comment.
Oh, yeah.
I never played the games, but I know what scene you're talking about.
I know what scene you're talking about, too. Also, we are down to 2 lives. Yikes. You know what? I have a sneaky suspicion I'm going to die this turn. Help again, Frost. Ooh, reflect. Glad you guys know that scene. Of course, we know that scene. Oh, I survived. And it was Marshtomp that went down. Okay. Was the crit necessary? There we go. If you're on the internet long enough, you get familiar with things. This is true. I think I remember seeing that in some countdown videos too of some scenes that didn't make any sense. And I just remember that scene and I went, that is incredibly awkward and painful. Alrighty. And no shiny for me. What do we have nature-wise? Quirky. That was an adamant Marshtomp. And that was an animate Giratina. That's why it hurt. That's why the attacks hurt so badly. Ooh. Hope you heard the English version of the forced laughter. Japanese is the real cringe. I think it was the English one I heard, honestly.
Same here.
Alright. Yeah, let's keep a record.
Yeah, I can understand when people say that English dubs are bad. It's because of how dubbing was handled during that time. And then now, now there's a more of a push, or there's more of a strictness about dubbing anime and maintaining the tone, everything about like music wise and stuff like that. I think now usually the anime studios don't allow the dubbing companies to do any alterations, or
I think we can thank the.
Yeah, I think there's a degree that.
I think we can thank what was it? Was it 4Kids who got sued for what they did with Yu-Gi-Oh? By the way, Lobby's live.
Yeah, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they were not paying their royalties or something like that. Yeah, I think that's from what I remember reading. I think it was because they were not paying what they needed to pay, and I think it's a little complicated. I have to look back exactly. I don't want to say something and then just come and be wrong. So
right.
But yeah,
I still remember 4Kids getting sued by the owners of the ones who own Yu-Gi-Oh's IP in Japan for what they were doing with the dub. So.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie either. Even though they did go through and do a lot of questionable localization things, yes, the 4Kids dub of Pokemon was awesome. And quite frankly, when they lost Pokemon, that's when 4Kids was really going down.
Yeah. Some of the dumb edits to 4Kids I remember making was even the signs that were written in English, they would erase it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
that made absolutely no sense, because even as a kid, I was like, what are you guys reading? There's nothing on that sign.
Yeah, or the cards. When you look at the cards, where's the text?
Yeah, that bothered me when I was a kid. I was like, majority of the pictures taking that text, and then you see the attack and defense at the bottom. Where's the rest of the text? Yeah, we don't have good options this time. Mine is Lightbird. Oh!
Come on!
Right as I said that. I feel like we're going back to talking on this past Sunday, where I was like, yeah, if it's one thing I really missed, it was the incredibly good music that they had. What is that psychic type? Hey! It's been a while! It's been a while, but we have one on screen finally. Which way are we going?
Yay. I have no idea, and I could not make a decision.
I couldn't make a decision in time either.
Yeah, I also had to get up and open the door for the cat to leave. So I had to I kind of rushed and just made it just kind of barely on time. But yeah, I mean, say what you will about the 4Kids dubs of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess to an extent, Sonic X, One Piece. They did a lot of banger music. Well, One Piece for me it didn't really hit.
Minus the One Piece rap. Minus the One Piece rap, because oh dang it, now it's playing my head.
Yeah, that one, yeah. I don't remember it so it's a good thing.
It's a good thing for you. I 100%. It's playing in my head. Kind of happy Funimation took over the dub for that one.
Yeah. Although, like, I have my gripes with Funimation and the stuff they did, and also kind of doing some of the dubs, like when they try to change bits of dialogue to kind of push a narrative. Like I remember it with when they dubbed Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I seen like the controversy about how they tried to kind of make it sort of feminine, more feminist, and sort of like I can't remember what exactly the lines were as word for word, but just to kind of get the context, one of the characters said something like, I think one character made a comment about to another character about the size of the upper woman's part, the body part, or the clothing specifically, I should say, and that character made like answered or responded with, "Yeah, I need to sort of follow the society norms." I can't remember exact lines. I think it's better off to look it up and then just see for yourself. But basically, it just kind of did like it was trying to take a jab at like the male society in a way, and it's just like it's not the original line from the Japanese version. I personally never watched the anime, so but when doing that dub versus sub comparison, I've seen like the sort of the different take and the stupid change they made. So it's like Funimation in a way is kind of almost regressing a little bit in terms of dubbing quality in that sense, where like they're making the changes that shouldn't be changing. No, wait, I meant to.
Right. I always had to sit back and be like, especially when you said that, I went, was that really necessary to be added? Like, was it really necessary?
Yeah, it's just.
Wait,
but Funimation is like it's like it tries to.
Let's Ralladon.
Portray sort of.
Do we go for the meme, or do we go for the cat?
I say the meme.
Oh.
I didn't make my selection.
Also, items. Some localizations were pretty bad, but direct translations can be boring at times. That's true. Yoink.
Depends on how it's handled. Like, generally, for the most part, I had no problems with the way Funimation handled the anime dubbing, because when they did like Fairy Tail, they do One Piece, and there's a lot of other
Full Metal Alchemist.
Too, like Full Metal Alchemist.
Both Full Metal Alchemist were incredibly done well.
I think
I can actually share the story now. One of my previous supervisors was a big anime fan. She would always watch it sub. She never watched it dub. But there was one that was the exception to the rule, and that was Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like would make exception for Full Metal Alchemist, either part, because they acknowledge that it's one of the better ones. I think I've seen people say that also Code Geass is also pretty good. When I watched Code Geass, I watched it dubbed, and I really enjoyed it. And I think
that was a good one.
It came close enough. Yeah, and Steins Gate. Also, like, especially if you're not like good with Japanese and stuff like that, like the language. I mean, like Steins Gate is a very scientific type anime, so it's if you're especially not really a scientific minded person, maybe the dub is just maybe a little bit better for you to watch. Just it helps with like understanding the story without trying to like feeling lost. So I guess you could argue that that's probably a decently good one.
Right. Also, Angie's here.
Pretty good enough. Hello. Like they put out pretty good dubs. Don't get me wrong. It's just it seems like in the last almost 10-ish years, it's still not quite there. I think it's just where they've gotten a bit of a bad reputation because of other things that have been going on within the company itself.
Yeah, there's that.
And yeah, there's that, and just I think also because they're trying to do the simul dubs with like, oh, Japanese episode gets released and then within the week they get the dubbed version of it out, so it's like the quality is kind of bad.
It's not that great.
Yeah, so they're not allowing themselves to take the time to properly convey the proper emotions and all and line delivery and stuff like that as it should, and it just makes it hard to want to sit down and watch the dub just for the sake of entertainment and like, you know, to really enjoy it. And it just, you kind of, yeah, it was just, I noticed that a lot with the last sort of the third part of the Fairy Tail anime, where like they were trying to almost sort of do the simultub dub. Not quite, but like I've seen the quality kind of go down. Nothing against like the voice actors themselves per se, because obviously, given if they're in other roles, they do pretty well. But when it's simuldub, it's a big problem. Like, because I hear some of the voice actors in Fairy Tail, for example, in like the Boruto dub, but the Boruto dub, because they don't do a dub. They every few months they release the DVD set of the dubbed episodes. So I go back and watch those again in English after like I've watched it already months ago in Japanese as they release. So I noticed like, yeah, maybe some actors are not kind of conveying the sort of that, like for example, Shirami Lei, who voices Lucy in Fairy Tail, is Sarada Uchiha in Boruto, for example. I noticed a lot of times when especially when she wants to convey the sort of the kind of fierce and kind of not really angry, but kind of like the fighting, the start of fighting, and like kind of that when she does that she's not doing it the same way that the Japanese actress does it. But also Kate Higgins, who was Sakura, also did it. It doesn't exactly do it that effectively very well either.
Right.
So it's like, I kind of, especially with that move specifically, I prefer the Japanese version because I just like the full Shanada. But it's sort of it's lacking in the dub. But overall, I still enjoy the dub to a degree.
Right. Fairy Tail's story is questionable, but yeah, the actors did great performances. From what little I heard, I would going to say so. Cherami and Todd get paired a lot in anime roles, I've noticed, or in the same anime.
Yeah.
It's weird like that.
It's common for it's common for voice actors, especially with the dubs. It's kind of I mean, we've gotten used to that. We're to have the same voice actors in the same anime, but like in Boruto, like Todd Haberkorn is Shikidai, and he's like the characters of Shikidai and Sarada have no sort of romantic interest. So in that, I can say at least in their characters in that anime are not the characters that are going to be kind of. It's not alluding or trying to sort of will they not be paired with each other kind of thing. It's like their characters are not like that. Those types of characters. They as far as friendships goes, as their characters, yeah, like they're good friends. They're kind of like yeah. But yeah, in Fairy Tail, they're I'm trying to think of other anime they're both in. Maybe their characters were. Yeah. Also, another voice actor pairing that I've noticed that have like their characters were like kind of like a couple is oh my god, why do they Greg Sipes and Ashley Johnson, aka Beast Boy and Tara.
Yeah.
And in Ben 10 they're Kevin and Gwen, and in Super Hyper I think you know what I'm trying to say here. The title's a bit long, but it's basically it's that show with the 5 robot monkeys, and this like human kid. There's this human girl that shows up later. They're voiced by Greg Sykes and Ashley Johnson, respectively. So also again, they're pairing. I think there's one other show might have also been like, but there was a few instances of them like being like together on the same project, and their characters are a couple, or like.
Hey, directors, I understand you're supposed to be directing, but can we not try to cast them and ship the actual voice actors with the shipped characters, please?
Yeah, at least do something to kind of change that. But I like that. I think with Jeremy and Todd, I think I have to really look at the other roles that they've been in together and see how many of their characters actually have been actual pairings or supposed pairings. Because I know that it was just Lucy, Natsu, and like that there are their characters are pairing. But as far as other roles in anime, they've been like in projects they've been together. I don't think I could think of other ones where the characters were a pairing.
Gotcha. Also, Duraludon's finally down.
Yeah. I think I missed this comment. Vic Mignogna is as actors. Yeah, he's pretty great, and it's a shame what happened to him, and it's a shame that he's not able to. Like, it's even years later after all the problems, like it's still like they're so against him, and it's like they're just, he's like what we've seen with Johnny Depp is almost practically the same thing, almost.
Right.
But except because Johnny Depp is bigger, more higher prolific actor, it was bigger deal, and it's. Some people also question with the thing with Vic Mignogna is that it's like if you stand with him, you might risk losing your job or opportunity to work with the company. Whether it's you work within Funimation itself or you are on some of their projects, it's like I don't know. It's hard to tell if anybody else was with Vic and didn't speak out because of that, or it's just that they didn't want to involve themselves with the problem because it's just it creates more drama and stuff like that. But...
Right. Okay. I know the main thing I've been doing is just been spamming Screech this entire time because I literally couldn't do anything. I'm just going to do Screech once and then I'm going to start attacking. Might do a Torment, so that way I won't attack us with the same move multiple times. Why must we have drama in real life? I thought that's why anime was made.
I have Dynamax, but none of my moves are effective. Or, like, not very effective. That's what I mean. Not, like, I can use them and hit them, but it won't do much damage.
Right. Ooh, Giratina attack fell. Well, that's also why I did the Screech. It'll give it, it's now -2 in defense, so physical moves should hit a little harder. Like now.
Also people, like, when they criticize dubs, they pointed out something else also, is that it always seems like it's always almost the same groups of voice actors in a lot of projects.
Yeah.
And then, but when you think of like the Japanese voice actors, it's so rare that you find the same 2 actors in the same project. I mean, it's gonna happen maybe, perhaps, but like there's just so many Japanese voice actors in Japanese voice acting industry that it's just so it's a little harder to maybe land a role, or like okay, you're selected, and it's just like there's there feels like a lot of more diverse casters. Like it rarely you find maybe overlapping voice actors on different projects, like a group or a team or whatever. Whereas with Funimation and them, it's like
It's
you're
the
always
same
gonna get
ones.
the same exact cast. Yeah,
Uh-oh. Is that on?
like that's a fair enough of a criticism, and I think some people actually criticized Funimation also for seemingly being so tight, like tight knit, but in a kind of like they would not really allow many sort of non-Funimation employees take on roles within the anime unless maybe absolutely necessary. But it always seems like, and sometimes the same voice actor would voice maybe two or maybe more characters. Like I think Chris Sabat, I think if I'm right, he voices Vegeta, Piccolo, Yamcha,
Yep.
and a few other, yeah, like there's a few other characters in Dragon Ball. And I'm just like, can't you not find other actors to maybe, I don't know, voice some of these characters? Like, is it really that, difficult? Especially when Chris Sabat rarely ever maybe changes his voice, because I remember him saying something along the lines of, I don't really like to change my voice very much, or like, I don't know, maybe it's a little out of context, but I remember hearing something like that one time.
Right. Or there's also the fact that Chris Sabat alone has voiced a good chunk of good characters.
Yeah. Like, I know he's All Might. He's, Elfman from Fairy Tail.
Yeah.
Zoro from One Piece.
Oh, Millennium asks, is it bad that most Japanese voices sound similar after a while to me? To be fair, a good chunk of English voices start doing the same thing to me after a while.
Yeah, same here. But I feel like with the Japanese, although like you might think it's a voice actor, but it turns out no. I think I remember one time, I think I was watching Bleach, and I think my brother was watching with me kind of, and I was watching in sub, and I forgot the character's name. But her Japanese voice, when she was speaking, she was kind of she had this bit of a high pitched voice a bit, and it almost sounds like Pikachu. And for the longest time I thought it was the same actress who voiced, the characters, and it turns out no, it wasn't. It just sounded a bit similar in that, in a few scenes you could it almost does sound similar, but but then I learned that no, it wasn't. But like my brother, even it was like back then, like I remember he pointed out, it's like, why does she sound like Pikachu? And at the time I thought it was. So I was like, yeah, I think it is the same actor.
Speaking of, did anybody else have a split second where they were freaked out hearing Ash Ketchum's Japanese voice coming out of Yami Bakura and the Yu-Gi-Oh! And the originally Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh! I was a moment of, what?
Yeah. Now, like whenever I watched like the Pokemon anime, especially when I was watching some of Journeys, I was like, I can't not think of Bakura at all when I'm listening to Ash. It's like, imagine she plays a sadistic character in one anime, and she plays like a really light-hearted and child character in another, and it's like that's such a stark drastic
does not compute
difference.
Does not compute.
It's like, one moment you're laughing maniacally evilly and stuff like that, and another moment you're telling Pikachu to use Thunderbolt on Team Rocket and let them blast off again.
I mean, at the same token, that really showcases her skills though as a voice actress.
Yeah, I love it when voice actors really just like they have like one really kind of villainous role they have, or like the character's kind of insane or a dark character, let's say, and then just kind of like a lighthearted. That's how I feel about like Yuri Lowenthal, for example, because like on one hand he's like Sasuke Uchiha, and it's like especially in Naruto Shippuden, and it's like you hear him as Ben Tennyson in the Alien Force and Ultimate Alien and Omniverse Ben 10 series, and it's like it's such a sarcastic difference there.
Right. We
'Cause,
went
like,
up
one
against a
character's just
Jolly
like being serious
Giratina. Oh boy, we went up against a Jolly Giratina. Also no shinies.
no shiny for me either. Also to an extent, a little bit Dengreen also that happens to me too, but it's not as like drastic because like okay, you used to like okay, you think when you think of Dengreen, you think of Yugi and Yami Yugi, especially Yami Yugi, but then like you watch
That's a
Pokemon, for
range.
example, you hear him as Professor the Marauder, the Master Marauder from Pokemon movie 4.
Entei
Trico,
from movie 3.
yeah, yeah. So like, and Mewtwo. So like, there's just and Knuckles from Sonic X, and her Hassan Horatio from Viva Pinata, and that, especially for me, with that character specifically, is the one where I feel like it's the most drastic of all the roles because it's like you want one you're like the cool like kind of pharaoh and all that stuff, and it's just like one another role you're like a goofy pinata horse. Who likes the spotlight, so it's just like it's such a drastic difference.
I believe it. Wait, Millennium, you got a shiny? Or are you just saying rip because none of us got a shiny? Rip for all of us, gotcha. Alright, and lobby is live. Of course you froze.
I don't know how we managed to get through Giratina, but we managed to do it.
We did, yeah. Alright.
Especially I was so distracted because sometimes I don't really know how to do two things at once simultaneously, especially talking and doing whatever else I need to do.
I'm taking the Yumta.
And taking the dinosaur.
I feel like they missed the opportunity to have Vaporeon have all the evolutions available in Dynamax Adventures run Shadow Ball.
Yeah.
Ooh, what do we have here? I'm taking the mother, don't remember the animal. Kangaroo. Oh my goodness, it's a 2-for-1 day. That's in the same place as the mime was.
Right.
That's the same place the other one was. That's kind of funny. Also, that's probably the most we're going to see for the mimes. Too bulky doesn't remind me of a kangaroo. That's actually what it's based off of, though. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that.
I'm surprised Kangaskhan did not get a baby yet. Like, you would think the baby in its pouch would be, like, free evolution.
Right.
Because I imagined Kangaskhan hatching an egg and it's just, like, that big. It's just kind of, Pokemon sometimes is weird like that.
They might not do anything. Well, speaking of, bye, Kangaskhan.
Also, on the topic of Pokemon baby pre-evolutions, I mentioned this before earlier when I was with Solder and Kushua Jones, that they have yet not made a baby form of Miltank and Tauros, because, you know, it's obviously that they are paired with each other, given that Tauros is all male and Miltank is always female. You would think the baby would be depending on its gender, it would evolve into either one. Like it would. Like I'm surprised there's no baby form for that.
They might
I remember
not.
when I was playing.
They might not make one.
Go on. How come?
Well, I see why, but I also see if they did it to where if they made the baby form, but depending on its gender, it depends on what it evolves into. I can actually see that being a kind of a grievance for most people, especially if it's like, oh, because even then, Tauros already has a Paldean form. Miltank doesn't have anything, but they could also turn around and release the baby
Yeah.
form of them in the DLC.
Yeah.
For eggs, Kangaskhan hatches twins, not mother and child. Pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, generally speaking, it's just like it's so weird. Like, it's like okay, you know that whether the animal is being birthed or hatched or whatever it is, it's always gonna start off. It's sort of like baby form or larva form or whatever, and it's gonna gradually grow. So it's just like, why couldn't they just do that by default with the both Pokemon? Like, that's kind of the reason. One of the reasons why I like Digimon more. Sometimes it's like all the Digimon have their baby form, their child form, etc. Like literally, the terminology they use in the Japanese dub of Digimon is baby, child, adult, perfect, and I think champion is like the ultimate. Which I like that kind of equivalent much better than just going for rookie, champion, ultimate, or whatever the ranks were.
Right. Oh my goodness, Girder, will you go down already? That works.
No, I Tamagotchi.
I never
I
had a
do
Tamagotchi
remember-
either.
Although I do remember, is I had one of those clear little backpacks that was that had Tamagotchi pictures on them. But yeah, people speculate Tamagotchi was basically the rule or kind of the inspiration behind Digimon, but there's no real correct correlation. Although there's sometimes it does allude a little bit to the idea of Tamagotchi.
Right. I think even the fact, I don't think the creator of Digimon came forward and said that's what it's based upon, because I know the creator of Pokemon came forward and said, no, Pokemon was based off, or got the inspiration from bug catching.
Yeah. Japanese activity popular among young boys, at least, I guess, back then. I don't know if young boys do it now these days. Given, we live in a world of technology.
I don't know either. Millennium also said the same thing in chat. Well,
Yeah.
Oscar's going to take it. Okay, are we going dragon or are we going to go ghost?
I think Go Ghost. Danny Phantom. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Eh. Wait a minute. That thing doesn't have any ghost type moves, does it?
Oh. Wait, it's a Jellison. I think it did. I remember.
Let me check, because I still have the list up, thankfully.
We're in danger if it doesn't. But it's like I remember
Well,
last time I had Jellison. I remember it having one.
it has Dazzling Gleam, Dive, Trick Room, Icy Wind.
I guess Dazzling Gleam works. I mean, it's still fairy type and it's super effective. I'm low in health.
I'm going to kiss it real quick. That sounds so weird to say out of context. I'm going to kiss it real quick. I don't know, use Draining Kiss on Zygarde. It's super effective. That's not untrue. Because it is a fairy move and it is super effective against Zygarde. Oh lord, imagine when I finally get to Zygarde on this.
No.
By then I should have enough Dynite ore that I can just be like, yeah, we're just gonna run, once we find the path for it, we're just gonna run this path and that's it.
Until somebody gets a shiny.
Yeah. Thank you for the coaching, but I really don't need it. Alright. I'm trying to save my Dazzling Gleams for when we go up against Giratina anyway.
Yeah. I was doing the same with Skill Shot.
Goodness. You haven't done the Megazord yet? My condolences. Yeah, I decided to let that be the final Dynamax adventure for me. Also, Tyrantrum's dead. Because of a crit. That's why I said it's gonna be so weird when I get to that. And I'm really hoping that's a fast run, honestly.
Be a good cheer, please be a good cheer, please be a good cheer.
Oh, nice. Ah, of course. For Millennium, Zygarde was the third hunt that they joined and the first DA Shiny Legendary for them.
Nice.
I think the way I would do it, because I would run both my Sword and Shield account for that, I would actually set it up to where the first account that gets the Shiny ends the run. Because I would not subject myself to get two Shiny Zygardes between both of them. I was like, no. If one of them gets Shiny Zygarde, the run's done.
Yeah, and I have, not really trading, but I have a way where you can, well, I guess if you're using two different switches, you obviously need to trade, but if it's on the same switch, I have a way to, like, move, let's say, one Pokemon from one user's box to another user's box. I was talking about it briefly with Solar earlier, but in order to properly showcase how to do it, I need to like record it. So when I get a chance, I'll like share that little secret.
Gotcha. Are we going for the dinosaur or are we going for keys?
I'm gonna pick dinosaur.
Okay. Actually, we get back to getting the shiny charm on that shield file now. Because I realized, oh yeah, I've been distracted by Scarlet and Violet, and I still need to get the shiny charm on that file.
To try to shiny hunt the Reggies in my other profile so I can get Reggie Drago.
Would you like to get slammed by a Soar or stabbed by keys? Neither which sounds appealing. Is it funny that every time Millennium types Mr. Satan, I don't think of Giratina, I actually think of the Dragon Ball Z character whose name is Mr. Satan?
That's the first character that pops in my head too, and I don't... It's the fun thing about with Dragon Ball is that like I don't really know much about it because I've barely watched it. But because of the internet and all the memes, I've know some of the the key moments, and I know a decent chunk of character names.
I mean, there's also Team 4 Star too, so.
Yeah, but I never really watched the abridged series for Dragon Ball, mainly due to the fact that I just not really familiar with the series, so I just didn't feel like I would really, I wouldn't really fully understand what's going, the context of a lot of what's going on because of that.
Gotcha.
With
Also-
Yu-Gi-Oh, it's different because I'm familiar.
Right. I'm familiar with both, so that's why I'm able to get it real quick. Also,
I think with
Netoroyce.
Dragon Ball, I think with Dragon Ball, it's just that it was an anime that kind of bored me. I think so. I think that's why I just never really stuck with it. My brothers, I think, watched all of the original and Dragon Ball Z. But when compared to a lot of the other anime like One Piece, Naruto, and them, they definitely prefer them over Dragon Ball. Like Dragon Ball for them is like kind of somewhere, kind of more on the bottom of the list, basically. Like it's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah. Honestly, if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Abridged, Dragon Ball probably wouldn't have become as popular as it, or hasn't resurged in popularity, I should say.
Probably.
Still question how early Funimation got Hercule from Mr. Satan. Well, let's be honest here. They wouldn't let the character still be called Mr. Satan back then. So they probably changed the name to Hercule for close to like Hercules, for being the for being one of the being the strongest human or the champion of the world.
Like it's a fair enough of a I guess loophole or workaround back when the standards for like censorship and whatever was different. And then I'm glad it changed as years gone by. It's like, okay, you have to acknowledge that some shows are not really meant for kids because of the general violent nature. I say violent, but I'm just talking about like to various degrees of like fighting and blood and all that stuff.
Right. Oh, speaking of, if there's anything I wish that we were able to get, and I'm going to bring it back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of course that's where my brain went. Does anybody remember when 4Kids actually made a dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! That was like almost exactly a translated version of the Japanese original and kept the original soundtrack? I'm like, where is more of that? Where is more of that? I want that.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Uncut. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Uncut. I think I read something about that, and I just really can't remember what I read about. I don't know why they never actually followed through with it. I think it goes back to like how companies like 4Kids and Funimation, how they're so limited to their sort of in staff. And you can only stretch them so thin to to do other projects.
Right.
And you can't just really do the other stuff you want to do, so yeah.
And I think they even kept they didn't even like edit the footage either. Didn't mean to cut over there, but I think they also didn't edit the footage either, so you actually saw what it was. I think they did like 12 episodes and then it was canned.
Yeah. I think Dan Green on Twitter, he posted something about if they would love to try to sort of read the manga, the original manga as it is, sort of get the cast together to do it. But because they don't have the proper rights, they don't want to do it and sort of do it in a kind of illegal way and maybe risk getting into trouble. Right. And that's understandable. Like, so it's just a shame how enough of the cast is actually somewhat on board. I don't know how many of them are all like on board, but the impression I'm getting is that all of them are. But like, it would be so great if just Konami wasn't or whoever is in charge of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. I think it's NAS.
Yeah, it's NAS.
Wasn't so yeah. So I wish they would just, between them and Konami, I wish they would just allow for a more faithful dub dubbing of the Yu-Gi-Oh series. No alterations, no alterations. I'm just like beat names and edits and all that stuff, just as intended. Also, I think that we could, I guess, I could sort of see the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, like between like season 0 and Duel Monsters, kind of receiving the kind of remake treatment.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how they would. Well, I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. Even though Takashi Sensei died this year, I'm not that familiar with how copyright works in Japan to say that they would probably have the rights to remake it with him being dead. And I don't know if they're going to do it justice by staying close to the original manga or the original
Yeah.
source material with him being dead. It's like, we're kind of trading to that point of, are they going to stay close to what the creator wanted, or are they going to veer off to what makes it popular?
Yeah, I feel like it's I hate to say this, I think it's the latter.
I wouldn't be
Because
surprised, to
Konami
be honest.
still would, yeah. But it would, I mean, it would have been a great idea had not been for the tragedy that happened.
Right.
For it to happen, because because I'm thinking of like how how a few of the old sort of 80s and 90s anime have been receiving a new modern day remake, like Hunter x Hunter. uh Digimon received something too, like Digimon Adventure, the original Digimon series, and a few other ones. And then it's like, I feel like with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's kind of almost due for one as well, and it's just like, I don't know,
Right.
yeah. But like I said, I think it's gonna be the latter. Even if they do a remake of it, or like a modern day remake, and maybe like update the sort of the technology, like let's say you had like the really big compact computers and the big hard drives and whatever, or somewhat, and they got like the floppy disks, now change that into like just regular CDs. Yeah, like, yeah, I don't think they'll like really properly honor him unless somehow by strange miracle they do.
Well, true. But there's also the fact there's so many Yu-Gi-Oh spin-offs now. I don't know if they would be willing to go back to the original.
Yeah, yeah. The other day, my brother said
All mail.
something. He saw something on TikTok where I think some fans were saying something about. I can't remember what it was exactly. It had to do with Naruto. And he asked me, like, did you hear that they're probably gonna do something, whatever it was? And I'm like, as far as I know, there's no, and it's not like the 20th anniversary thing. It was something else after that. But yeah, like, but even with that, like, I told him, like people right now are have a feeling that maybe like Studio Pierrot is gonna do something with Naruto, like maybe do a remake or something. And I'm like, I doubt it, because Boruto is still ongoing, and if they, it's actually a risk if they do a remake with of the original Naruto series while Boruto is running, then it's gonna shift a lot of the attention away from Boruto, whatever attention that it's getting from the fans that are kind of somewhat committing to it, somewhat, and then it'll be shifted all the way back to the original Naruto series, like the supposed remake. And I don't see them doing that right now. I could see them maybe doing that once Boruto comes to a conclusion and they don't do another sort of sequel series after that.
Right. Like, Boruto kind of needs to end first before you start thinking about a Naruto remake.
Yeah,
Also,
and
lobby's
it's
live,
not
and this
gonna
is going to be
end.
the last one of the stream.
Yeah, and I know Boruto's not gonna end anytime soon just yet. I'm expecting at least, let's say, another 5-ish years at least. Could be off and a little bit wrong, but it's just an estimate.
Right. Also, Millennium's got a point. Pokemon getting redubbed would be a nightmare. I don't think they're gonna redub
Yeah.
Pokemon, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I'm whatever we got, whatever we got, and it's just yeah, it is totally a little bit different, especially with more the modern. I mean, like at its core, I think there's some similarities you could see from like where for kids used to do with some of the dubs, like change the names to Westernize them. But I noticed that they do a lot of less censorship in terms of like erasure of Japanese culture.
Right.
But
I
then I
miss.
also can't imagine. I can't imagine a redubbing of the classic Pokemon series and just not have the Pokemon theme song, Catch 'Em All, or the Poke
Right.
Rap, or just the Pikachu's jukebox songs, like To
I'm
Be a Master and those songs.
right. I'm just like, let those stay in the past. Let those stay in the 90s where they belong. Just let them stay there. Also, Millennium's right. I actually do miss Naruto's verbal tick from the Japanese version. Because believe it did get irritating after a bit.
Yeah. At least the Japanese version had the databayo. At least you can still hear it, like almost not really necessarily every sentence, but you hear it often enough. Even Boruto himself has a similar tick where, well, it basically it roughly translates to but it's just a slightly different wording, and even Naruto's mother Kushina had the similar tick too, with a slightly different wording, but the all three variations of it translates to
But even then, sounds so much more natural than believe it.
Yeah, believe it. It definitely was forced, and I'm glad they stopped it as soon as, let's say, by maximum episode 3 or 4, maybe 5 at most. No communication with other trainer interrupted.
Yeah, I just got that too. Okay, I'm still connected.
I'm still connected on Switch and on Wycom, so well.
Okay, let's try this again. Alright, new lobby is live.
Earlier, thinking of the um sort of the trope, and I say trope like, but it's more like a kind of a negative trope of character assassination, which basically is when how authors really ruin a character by just sidelining them so much in the story because for multiple reasons, and it's just like almost everything you watch or read or play, you can at least name one character that was a victim of this.
Right.
Like almost everything you watch has at least one character like that, and it's just sad how, like, you as the author, especially, you're the one who created the character. If you're gonna just sort of assassinate the character, and not in literal sense, but like in the idea of like, you utilize them very far less and less, and try to go out of your way to actually purposely make these characters worse. It's just a sad kind of thing to do.
Right. Millennium, you gonna join in for this one? You know what also makes what you brought up worse? The ones that are typically get the character assassination are female characters.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's in the shonen anime.
Oh, Dragon Ball is notorious for doing that for their female characters,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, I was going down through a sort of like a list. I won't say the definitive, but when I came across the Dragon Ball section, I saw Chi Chi on
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yep.
I Bulma less so, but I guess like you can I guess tell me more because like you're at least more up to date with it or whatever. But yeah,
So, in the original
and not
Dragon Ball, Chi Chi is the daughter of the Ox King, and she was a fighter. She actually went up against Goku in one of the Tenkaichi Budokais, or World Martial Arts Tournaments, is known in English version, and fought against Goku. Granted, she lost, but she was still a fighter. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and I don't know if this is Toriyama or is it just with the trope with Shonen in general, but when she had, it's like when she married and she got Gohan, she just immediately got sidelined, and I'm like, but Chi Chi's a fighter too. They did the exact same thing with
Yeah.
Videl, who is Gohan's girlfriend, eventual wife. She is the daughter of world champion Mr. Satan. She knew how to fight. Gohan taught her how to fly utilizing her ki. And she got. Oh, a lot of us are still angry over the fight that she had in the world championship with that because she was clearly outmatched and she was brutalized. Like, a lot of us are still angry over that, and then she was just permanently sidelined. Bulma was a recurring character and was a very good character throughout the original Dragon Ball. Eventually gets sidelined. So it's like, yeah, trust me when I say this. When it comes to Dragon Ball, if you're a female, you're gonna be sidelined no matter what with them.
Yeah. In Naruto especially, it has a lot of character assassination victims. Sakura especially is one of them because like it proceeded to make sort of the way Kishimoto kept writing her, it just progressively made her worse and worse. And not just with like okay, she gets a little bit of a power up boost, and then suddenly Naruto and Sasuke get another boost, and it just further regresses her progression or her build up on like powers. In part one, I can somewhat to a degree I can understand her being more weaker and not like it's not that she wasn't incapable of fighting, but I can understand where like she maybe perhaps you could argue that okay, she didn't really take being a ninja that seriously as much as she should have, and then it was like a kind of like a learning moment for her, like okay, the world of ninja is far darker or dangerous and whatever. You need to like let go of their girly crushes and all that stuff and whatnot. But and then like you got also Hinata, and then a bunch of other female characters it'll take a while to like you know what Kurenai, she was supposed to be like this really good at genjutsu and all that stuff, and it's just like one moment she like feels like putting Itachi under genjutsu because of his Sharingan, and it's just like okay, and then it's like you never really see her doing much of anything else after that, and it's like well okay and it's also kind of an example of show and but don't tell but no show, and it's like okay, we're told that she's good at this, but we never really got to see her fully in action and be actually successful in this thing that they were told that she's good at. I think the one character that I feel like doesn't get the least of character assassination is Tsunade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, she did get the least amount from what I remember. But yeah, there's a common trope that I'm seeing here, especially with shonen anime, which is if you're female, you're going to be sidelined real quick. Doesn't matter how they set you up to be, you're going to get sidelined real quick.
Yeah, Orihime from Bleach is also another victim. Rukia, to a degree, I think may have been a bit of a character assassination, but she's often portrayed as more of a capable fighter because she's the Shinigami, technically speaking.
Right.
But also it's like, yeah. I'm trying to think of other anime. Fairy Tail, I think, to a degree, Lucy also had a bit of a character assassination. Juvia also same thing. Some characters like Urza wasn't. I would. Yeah, it was. She didn't really quite fall victim to it so much. like she was still capable of a fighter, but also capable of like feeling of caring for her friends and everything. She wasn't, and she was capable of fighting off her enemies and coming out on top in spite of everything. But it always seemed like with Lucy, she always at some point has to be rescued by Natsu.
Right.
And Juvia was just a little too boy crazy over Gray, and it to the point where it's like it was very obsessive, and it's just like her whole thing is just Gray. She had the worst of the character assassination in Fairy Tail.
Gotcha. The bell is wiping us. The gear's more of, but yeah, the bell wasn't helping either.
Other anime, really other media also that had that suffered. It's just, but yeah, it's just like, how can you as a writer go out of your way to be like, yeah, I don't like this character, so I'm gonna progressively try to make this character worse. Or even if you don't really say I don't like this character, it's just like, well, this character is supposed to be a main character. Why are you making this character worse?
Right. My better question is, if you don't like this character, why are you making it the story about them?
Yeah. I think I read somewhere once that J.K. Rowling, yes, I'm talking about her, that she actually did not like Ron Weasley and tried to kind of make his character be worse in a sense and give some. And actually, I think I remember reading something about like at one point she was planning on having Ron be killed off in the 6th book, but then I guess changed her mind somewhere along the way. But I think in the movies, it seemed like some of Ron's best moments were given to Hermione, and it's just like, it's like, okay, like Hermione had her own moments in the book already as it is, so why give other characters moments to a character that already had it? It's sort of like, I understand, you know, a woman, like girls' rights are strong female characters, but like it's not, it goes back to, it shouldn't be at the expense of male characters also. Like, just, it was so annoying, like especially when you read the books and then watch the movies after, or like you have knowledge about the books. It's like the movies kind of are sometimes annoying when they do something like that.
Right. I'm actually curious how much influence she had over the films. Because if she had any type of influence over them, that's probably why we saw some of Ron's moments go to Hermione.
Yeah, I think she might have, maybe not in the first, maybe couple, but I think maybe 3rd and onward she might have had more of a involvement.
I was hoping that power-up punch was going to be enough. But yeah. Well, there's also the fact, I actually read some of the things, like, I think by the time they started working on the first movie, I think she had at least the manuscript for book 6. So, like, Alan Rickman was able to see the progression of Snape's character, and he was able to start putting some subtle foreshadowing in when he was doing his acting in the beginning in the first movie.
Yeah, I think I remember reading something about that too.
Like when Harry Scar starts getting aggravated or goes off in Great Hall, you just see the subtle hint of Snape just casually glances over to where Quirrell is. And I knew you were going to take Sneasel. I didn't even say anything. I was like, yep, she's going to take Sneasel.
Oh, Frostlass.
Yep. I just noticed the grass type is Shiinotic. Okay, maybe I'll get a better item this time. Maybe not.
Okay, so I googled it actually, and one answer is she was a consultant, which means that she was there to make sure things were accurate enough between like that when it comes to adaptation, like enough of what was written in the books or her vision was met in the script and whatnot. But speak on the topic of Alan Rickman, she said there's a brief paragraph about that too. It's like when he didn't know what to do about Snape, she told him in private, like little snippets of what she had envisioned for the later installments of the books.
Right, and that's why I was like,
yeah,
like the subtle acting.
So
there.
yeah, I think. Yeah, so I think with this specifically about the Ron moments going to Hermione, I think there might have been something about that, like that holds somewhat true, like where maybe she didn't like she didn't like the moments that Ron had and made changes, and maybe because she still had the manuscript of book 6, which is where Ron's character she was planning on him having killed. Maybe she just felt like maybe she'd make the decision to give them those moments to Hermione. I don't know. It's just it's so stupid. Like the idea of like how.
I mean, speaking as somebody who's written characters that they don't like, you can dislike the character, but it still goes back to the fact of you need to at least have respect for the character and just give them respect for the character and be like, okay, I don't like you, but I'm not going to completely and utterly trash your part of the story. I get to the point where I'm like, you fulfill your part of the story, now go off screen. And that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
But try to make, like, kind of give them a sort of a more positive sort of send-off or something, just something that does not make the character look like they're bad. But yeah, it's just
I mean, to be perfectly honest though, a lot of times if it's a character I dislike, and if it's a character that I dislike, and frankly their part of the story is fulfilled, I either just have them vanish and never return, or in some cases, especially if say they were a villain themselves working with another villain and annoyed the other villain, said other villain offs them. Which makes sense for villains, to be honest, so.
Yeah.
Now, it's the whole thing of, if I don't like a character, find a way to, okay, you fulfilled your part of the story, now get out. Then at some kind of point in time, everybody's gonna be like, no, we actually like this character, keep them. Like, no. Sorry, no. Not keeping that character. Oh, Sophie's gonna try to go for Frostlass. Denied. I still haven't seen Shield Hero, to be honest, but I know exactly who you're talking about because I've seen a lot of people talk about that character.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing about her specifically, it's like when it comes to her design, you might find yourself liking the design, but it's also kind of smart, the sort of this cautious decision on the part of the creator, writer, whatever, because it's like, you know, a lot of these horrible people tend to present themselves as like really nice people or like beautiful, which is kind of what she, in a way, presents herself as to a certain degree. And then it's like it's revealed that no, they're really vile underneath, and that's what I think the way as the character design goes, it's just an interesting way of doing things rather than just like, unlike the stepsisters in Cinderella, for example, where they look purposefully ugly to highlight or reflect the ugliness in their hearts. It's interesting how like they show that even how the most horrible people pretend to look beautiful, like as if and make themselves feel like they trick people into thinking that they're nice. Well, underneath they're horrible.
Well, it also goes back to the biblical story of the angel Lucifer before he became Satan. He was the most beautiful
Yeah.
angel in heaven. Then he rebelled against God and he was cast out. So it comes from that too.
Yeah. But you know, like I said, it's like you might. I'm saying might be just so that because it's just maybe you have a different opinion or whatever. But like for me, it's like I do like the character design as far as design goes. I definitely do not like the character because of what she did.
Right.
And it's it's something that happens even to this day and age where there you have women especially accusing men of doing horrible acts to them when in fact it never happens. Also, you know, speaking of high profile actors,
Yep. I knew you were going to bring. I'm like, yep, here we go. Bringing it back to the trial.
But yeah, it's like even when that whole thing was going on, I realized a lot of people were like making the comparisons. I'm like, yep, I was expecting it.
Oh, yeah. Conversation coming full circle. I mean,
Yes. Welcome to Canada Streets, where we have a conversation. We start at one point, derail, and then come back to the starting point or whatever.
well, there's also the fact that when it comes to our conversations, we'll start at point A, then we'll basically go through an entire journey to Mordor before we go circle back to point A. So
Yes.
that's how our conversations go.
That's how my mind works. I can't help it.
Hey, Frozen Dragon.
I need to find that meme about like how my mind works, where like it shows. It's like imagine a straight arrow, and it's supposedly it's like this is the point I'm trying to the point I'm trying to make. It goes from point A to point B, but then just diverges into like point Z, from C to Z, before I can get to point B.
Yeah, I think I've seen that meme before. I'm trying to remember where I've seen it, but yeah, I'm like, that's pretty much my brain too.
I've seen variations of it also, like it's like the one straight road, and it's like the those types of bridges where it's like all curvy and loopy doopies and all that stuff.
Right.
I don't know why I call those like round circles loopy doopies, but it's just
that's actually a really good word, loopy doopies.
Or loopy doops. Sometimes I actually refer to it more like loopy doops, but loopy doopies came out, and I was like, okay, I'll go with it.
Dead dragon.
What's a ghost dragon popsicle?
What's a dragon sickle? Alright, so for the final time tonight, will there be a shiny? Oh! Dante's Inferno reference? Not even joking about that. In Dante's Inferno, which is an epic poem, which is basically an epic poem about Dante walking into hell, being escorted by Virgil. Had studied in high school, but other than that very pit of hell itself, Satan is frozen in a frozen lake. And that's why I'm like, when I saw that and I went, Dante's Inferno reference? Nah, no shinies.
No shiny for me either. Maybe next time you should wear your Yu-Gi-Oh shirt.
I'm starting to think I need to. You know what? That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do for Sunday. Wear the Yu-Gi-Oh shirt. Welcome in the new year, and bring Giratina shines. Also, that was a quiet Giratina. And an impish gear set. Anyway. Wait, I didn't wear it yesterday. I didn't wear it Sunday and I got a shiny, but I think that's because it was Christmas.
Yeah.
Change your stream layout again, like from Mewtwo and Zapdos. I still can't maybe that's what I need to do. I need to make a new layout, change it, and wear the Yu-Gi-Oh shirt. Maybe I need to line it up again to do that. That was still fun. I still can't believe that happened like that. It's just like, okay, I'm going to change the outline. I'm wearing a new shirt coming back from vacation. I'm going to change the overlay. 2 shiny legendaries in the one stream.
Still can't believe that happened.
I can't believe that happened either. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's stream. Next stream's, of course, going to be Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be going after Cinderace in Pokemon Violet. Hopefully, we will get the bunny. Hopefully, we can prove that that you can duo it with 2 humans. Who knows? Anyway, we're going to try for the rabbit before the end of the year. So with that being said, I do want to thank you for coming out and showing your support. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Take care, everybody.